go for a new racing season here in St. Peter. Grosjean launches.
Grosjean with a great jump. That's what you want. Try to get clear of all those animals coming from behind, and it's Pato O'Ward firing up the inside.
Look at Alex below down there in the blue and white car, 3 wide through turn 1. Townsend, he's going to try the outside of turn 2. They're filing through side by side. This is where we see so many problems in contact already for a McLaren.
I think that's Rosenquist. Felix Rosenquist with more damage in the back. The track is total chaos.
Looks like Devlin DiFrancesco airborne. Simon Pagenaud I see in the wall. His teammate Helio Castroneves sideways. Huge accident down. The track is blocked. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a red flag here. And then you see there the black car. That's Santino Ferrucci into the back of Helio Castroneves. Devlin DiFrancesco goes around. Stingray Robb swerves and hits Pagenaud. Wow, I have never seen anything like that, Townsend.
Let's try for the second time. Here we go. The Firestone Grand Prix is underway.
A little bit of oversteered wheel spin from Colton Herta coming off the last corner, so a great jump from Romain Grosjean as they all seem to be pretty much in line. It's Marcus Armstrong looking at the inside of Alexander Rossi, but unable to make the pass.
And there's a caution on the racetrack. This will give Dixon a bit of an advantage, putting on those alternate tires, guys, and this might wind up being a caution.
Here's Kyle Kirkwood in the pink car for Auto Nation on the inside of Connor Daly, tagged the back of the Bitnile Chevy, and that's the cause for this most recent full course caution.
Great jump, big wiggle from Scott McLaughlin on the power. Same for Pato O'Ward. He's already defending for Marcus Ericsson. Ericsson saying, no, I'm going to stay on the clean side of the racetrack.
All right, here you go. Defending winner wants to win again, but Romain Grosjean in that yellow and red DHL Honda wants to win for the first time. Alexander Rossi on his old teammate Colton Herta around the outside. You've got it. No, you don't. Herta fights back.
Colton Herta. Oh, Rinus VeeKay. We have a car up and over. Kyle Kirkwood's involved. That looks like Jack Harvey as well. Rinus VeeKay in the tires. Huge accident. Yellow flag is out.
That's the second.
You're right.
Second car airborne.
Second fully airborne car. Kyle Kirkwood cleared a tabletop.
Scott McLaughlin in a Dex Imaging Chevy leads the way over Romain Grosjean. There's the green. Let's go. Turn 1 is a key spot at this track. Dixon has already popped out, trying to get ahead of his teammate.
Looking back, Scott Dixon in that orange and blue PNC car has a run on his teammate Ericsson in the red and white, but Ericsson tries to defend. Dixon having none of that.
And Will Power is looking on. Graham Rahal in the United Rentals car. Great escape.
That was closer than you definitely want. As we ride on board the United Rentals on board of Graham Rahal. Man, that was nearly Herta did exactly what we saw Rinus VeeKay do. Down. Oh no, that's past turn 4. That's turn 8.
Way. This is Colton's onboard. Watch how late he decides to try to go around Will Power.
So Will Power, the car on your right in front, gets pushed wide by Marcus Ericsson. He's offline now. Colton Herta
contact. Power left front into Colton's right rear as Colton was forcing the issue on the outside.
Into the second half of this Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Let's go. McLaughlin at the front. The yellow and red DHL Honda is Romain Grosjean. Here comes Pato O'Ward on the inside. Not quite close enough. Dixon's close to O'Ward. Here comes Alex Palou on the inside. All slipping and sliding, but gathers control. Turn 1, look at the yellow car. There's McLaughlin on the right. They're at speed. They may come together. Whoa! McLaughlin holds the lead.
But there's no way I think he'll be able to hold them off on cold tires. Grosjean goes to the outside on hot tires and on the preferred line.
Is it possible? No, it's not.
Contact.
It is both of them crashing.
And O'Ward goes through. Pato O'Ward to the front.
That was the move for the race win in both of their minds.
And it came down to a simple game of chicken. Who's going to break first? Who's going to give an inch? The answer? Nobody knows.
And Pato O'Ward of Arrow McLaren leads this field, leads Ericsson, Dixon and his new teammate Alexander Rossi into turn 1.
Top 5 are spread out, but there was all kinds of confusion at the back as somebody got really squirrely off the final corner and stacked up positions 5 through 12.
Not done yet. Pato O'Ward could win at St. Peter.
Oh, guys, problem.
Is something wrong with him? Ericsson to the lead.
He had a huge slide coming off the corner, and he must have had a misshift. Maybe there was an overboost. That's an engine situation that temporarily limits power, and the lead now has gone to Marcus Ericsson.
Well, he drove like we have never seen him drive to win the Indianapolis 500 last May. And now Marcus Ericsson in the Husky Chocolate Honda is a winner again, but this time on the streets of St. Petersburg. Delivers Chip Ganassi the first victory of a new season in the most eventful race.
Good job. Great job. Thank you. Thank you.
What a drive from Marcus Ericsson, who wins at St. Pete. Just the second win ever for Chip Ganassi Racing here in the streets of St. Pete. And Marcus does it once again. So impressive last year. Now he wins race number 1 of 2023.
Watch the PPG 375 Sunday, April 2nd at noon on NBC.
And with that, welcome to episode 8, if you can believe it or not, of the Put Pad podcast. I am Derik Vance, and joining me as he usually does here for episode, I think 13 or 14, maybe a little less than that, is my buddy Joshua Robertson. Josh, I know there's gonna be a lot to talk about here as this podcast unfolds. But first off, what an interesting race! 27 cars in that field. That is one of the biggest fields that the NTT IndyCar series has ever had for a street course. But what an interesting race! Hopefully, you're able to finish it today. And I know everyone is sitting on the edge of their seat to get your professional thoughts about the race.
Well, my biggest one is you can't win the race on the first lap, but you sure the heck can lose it on the first lap. As we saw going into the first turn, people just over anxious. You know, they haven't been able to drive a car and competitively for a couple months now, and you could tell they all wanted to get out there and show how fast they could go. And of course, one car became airborne just seconds into the race, which was probably a really big deal.
Yeah, what you're referring to there for people that didn't see that, the Canadian Devlin DeFrancesca, what a unfortunate circumstance, I think, to say the least. I know you had a little bit of perspective coming from the driver's side there, especially when it comes to but Devlin DeFrancesca was one of 2 cars that got airborne during the race. And I think the surprising thing, and a lot of credit, I think, has to go to not only the NTT IndyCar series, but the car manufactured in Dallara. Not only Devlin DeFrancesca, but the other individual, and it escapes me here in a minute, that went airborne, was able to, especially the hit rather that Devlin took by that rookie Benjamin Peterson. Devlin was able to walk away without a scratch.
Oh yeah, it shows great engineering and how these cars can take such a hit. I mean, he hit him from the side. It wasn't he hit him in the back, he hit him in the front, hit him from the side, and he knocked him up probably 10, 15 feet. And the fact that he was able to walk away from that and not have any harm. I mean, when I saw him come out of the trailer and they were interviewing him, he looked like, I mean, he was a little shaken up, but he did not look like anything was really wrong with him. No bones broken, no nothing. You know, I'd love to see and know how a hit like that would have happened, how it would have affected a driver back when the cars were not as, shall we say, safe. The engineering that goes into these cars and the safety aspect of these cars is just otherworldly. I can't imagine being in that hit and knowing that DeFrancesco had no power whatsoever to stop any of that. And he's just had to pretty much hold the wheel and pray. And if it was me and I went airborne, I think I'd have to get another driver's suit because I might have soiled mine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those, circumstances where that back puckers up a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit, especially when a situation like that is out of his control. But speaking of one that basically, he didn't cause this first wreck. He was one. Um, Devlin tossed him to airborne. Now you had an interesting perspective after watching that crash there from the driver's perspective of Benjamin. We both know IndyCar here today. What was your take on Peterson and what may have caused him not Devlin?
Well, as you know, they sit so low in those cars, and I mean, when you're looking at the camera view sitting behind the camera that's perched right behind the driver, and you can see over his head, even that looks low. But they are even more lower into that car into there. So I think what happened was when Peterson was coming around there, there was a car that was in front of him that swerved to the right, looked like to avoid DeFrancisco. And at that particular point, it would almost be like it would be like you being on a highway, and the driver in front of you, you can't. It's a little bit taller than you. You can't really see, and he swerves to the right, and all of a sudden there's a car right there. There's nothing you can do. You can't hit the brakes. You can't swerve to the left because if you're swerving to the left, you're hitting the wall. There's nothing you could do but drive right into DeFrancisco, especially when he's sitting like this and you're going like this. I mean, there's nothing. You're just going right into him. So I don't think you can't really blame that on Peterson. He didn't mean to, and he
Yeah, I think you're
just could not stop.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think this was of Peterson, not seeing him or not reacting to it. I think he was just by the time he did react to it, I think it was too late, and he had to accept the fate that allowed or allied to him. So I think you're absolutely right. There, what an incident we had with the two leaders there. With Scott McLaughlin and Roman Grosjean. I really thought going into this race, as strong as Grosjean was over that weekend, that he may end up finding his way onto the podium and getting his first NTT IndyCar Series victory. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, as you've seen in the highlights there. I thought, and again, I want to hear your perspective on that. You just watched the ending of this, but was McLaughlin there in the wrong as he's coming out of the pits there. He does beat Grosjean out, yes, and the thirsty threes, yes. But time before the top Roman Grosjean, the warmer tires were Scott McLaughlin. I didn't think McLaughlin gave Grosjean enough room going into the turn, and ultimately only McLaughlin take his car out, but he took a great car out in Roman Grosjean as well.
I'm You know what? I'm not going to fault McLaughlin too much. He wants to win just as much as Grosjean does. It's really tough. It's really tough because it's the first race of the year. You want to win it. You want to get out and get those points. I think it's just two competitive racers. I mean, you can look at it as Grosjean didn't have enough room. McLaughlin blocked him off, but I think it's just racing. I don't think it was anything intentional. I think they were playing a game of chicken, and it just didn't work out for either one of them. I don't think there's any hard feelings about it. If I was Grosjean, I wouldn't have any hard feelings. I mean, I'd be upset that I didn't win. I was having a fantastic race, but it's going to happen throughout the season. this is the first race of the year, so it's not exactly going to knock Grosjean or McLaughlin out of the chance of winning the big cup at the end of the year. I mean, they're gonna have to regroup and just move on. But overall, I think it was just racing. I can't fault either one of them. They both have competitive natures, and they both wanted to win, and just rubbing is racing.
Yeah, I think you know what, douche opinion there, and I did see all the Kurt's Deer Scott over to Roman Grosjean's trailer. They had a little, we like to say, and everything sounds like it's been pretty much smoothed out. So that was good to see. But it was hard. We're running in contention for the lead, not only late in the race, but for the majority of the race. Were taken out. So with those two cars being taken out as we're towards the end of the race here, it's the Pato Award. Somebody that I know got a lot of pub, especially on this channel, being a championship contender, potential 500 winner, as well as we slowly creep to the month. Fortunate circumstance that to the radio call heading to dinner on Sunday. And what to Pato Award is something that you rarely see in IndyCar. And what happened was, as you've seen on there, Pato slows down on lap 7, where it just sounds like it's kind of like it was explained to me is when you're driving your car and your car it runs out of gas for a split second until it regains a little bit of fuel, everything shuts off. And that's exactly what happened here with Pato Award. There was the gas that was supposed to be going to the engine burn off, and everything shut down, just like if your car runs out of gas. And I hope I explained that correctly. So what an unfortunate incident that rarely happens in this car to Pato Award, because if that doesn't happen to him, I don't know if the number 8 Husky Chocolate Honda driven current Indianapolis 500 winner Marcus Ericsson, if he's able to take forward and eventually win the race.
It was an unfortunate thing, that explosion that happened inside. It's what they were talking about on the radio, on the TV. You know, there was an explosion inside of the engine, and it just the explosion sucked out all the oxygen. Therefore, the intake was not getting anything into there. But I am of the opinion that Ericsson was going to be able to catch him. There was about 3 or 4 laps to go, and Ericsson still had a substantial amount of push to pass to go. He had more, and I think he was laying back. He wasn't trying to overdrive the car, thus possibly blowing up the engine or cutting a tire. I think he was just sitting right back there behind Pato, and the inexperience, I think, and the unluckiness of Pato just in that particular instance just allowed Ericsson to get by him. If you notice from when Pato took the lead, he got his lead all the way up to, I think, almost 2 seconds, and as it was going on, the lead shrunk, just, you know, millisecond by millisecond. And I think if I saw it right, Ericsson had it down to less than 0.3 of a second. And I really think that Ericsson was sitting there waiting. He's like, I'm going to take my time, and as soon as this kid makes a mistake, I'm going to drive right by him. And even though this wasn't a mistake that Pato did intentionally, it was still something that happened. And I truly think Ericsson had it in the back of his mind, I'm going to win this race. And he did. Won his second race of his career. And the first time Chip Ganassi, I believe, has won at St. Petersburg since I want to say 2011 with Dario.
Actually, I think you stand correct. I think this is Ericsson's third win because
Oh,
he
I thought it was
had
only a
Nashville. He had Nashville. If you remember, a few years ago, it was kind of similar, the same similar situation in Nashville at their inaugural race. He goes airborne, and he has to fix his car. He comes back and ends up getting his first career win at Nashville. And then last year, he obviously wins the St. Petersburg on Sunday. So I do believe that is his third out. Chip Ganassi for a minute. Chip Ganassi, Scott Dixon in particular.
Yeah.
Scott Dixon has 65 career victories in the NTT IndyCar series. Josh, can you name how many times Scott Dixon has won at St. Petersburg?
I believe it's none. Am I correct? Or it's
zero.
Not,
absolutely.
It's not, yeah, I was going to say it's not a substantial amount.
Correct. It is zero. Out of all of Scott Dixon's 65 career victories, the Iceman as they call him, he has zero at St. Petersburg. What a interesting stat there to throw in. But before we get to some of the driver interviews, I'll take a look at the results. Average speed was only 86 miles an hour. There was 6 lead changes, and believe it or not, 26 caution laps. Fastest was Alex Palou on lap 68. He was 105 mile an hour, and the fastest leader lap was Scott McLaughlin. 2 laps before that on lap 66 when he went 104 miles an hour. Obviously, the race winners we just talked about, Marcus Ericsson. Then it was Scott Dixon took the podium, coming forward an impressive start for Alec Brock picking up position P. So Arrow McLaren off to a strong start here in 23, having positions 2 and 4. Surprise here, I thought, Callum Ilott, P5. What a great finish there for Callum. And then M. Rahal, Will Power, Alex Palou, and Christian Lundgaard, and Malukas round out the top. You're rushing Marcus Armstrong. Remember, he is going to be in that. He's going to split time with him and Takuma Sato. Marcus Armstrong. I always want to say Marcus, but Marcus Armstrong is going to be on your street and road courses in the number 11 Ridgeline Honda for Chip Ganassi. It took us a little time, and he will be on the ovals in that same car. Highest finishing rookie, other rookie there at Juncos Hollander Racing, Agustin Capino. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting name all year. He finished 12th. McLaughlin, Connor Daly, Noblesville, Indiana native. Kyle Kirkwood, next rookie. I know, Josh, you love saying this name. Stingray Robb came home in P16. Joseph Newgarden, Roman Grosjean, Felix Rosenquist, and Colton Herta round out the top 20. Then it's Rinus VeeKay, struggles for Ed Carpenter Racing in Rinus VeeKay on Sunday. Jack Harvey, Elio Castroneves, Tino Ferrucci, Devlin DeFrancesca, Simon Pagenaud, and then rookie Benjamin Pearson round out your 27. So let's get Josh to that able to get to there on Sunday, and then we'll come back and we'll take the points. Obviously, be just a splitting image of what the results were, and then we'll talk about our picks because I think we both missed on Sunday when it came to our picks of the race. But before we get to all, let's take a round. I was going to say take a look, but let's take a listen to some of our post-race.
Go ahead. Good day here on St. Pete, P20 up to P6. Was able to pass some guys today, force some guys into mistakes. I thought our strategy was solid, starting on those blacks, and we were able to keep the reds underneath us. Obviously, there was a lot of yellows in that period as well, but still it worked for us. And then strong black run to the finish. So it was nice too. It was rewarding because, you know, when we had guys like Power behind me and others, we were able to fend them off and didn't feel under too much pressure. So the guys did a great job. Off we go to Texas.
Hey guys, race done here in St. Pete. It was a tough day for us, very frustrating. We tried some different stuff on strategies, it kind of worked out, but yeah, just did a couple of mistakes and cost us quite a lot. But anyway, finished at P8, I believe. Won the race with Marcus and another podium with Scott, so big day for the team. And the car was fast, so we just need to get together again, get ready for Texas, and we're in the fight, so it's going to be a great season for sure.
Run it. St. Petersburg done, first race. Run it. St. Petersburg done, first race. A long and tough one with a lot of yellows. Quite frustrating. Seemed to struggle a bit with getting the tires to work. So every restart was just misery and survival. But I think we need to be happy to have two cars in the top 10. Unfortunate for Jack. Glad to hear that he's okay. But we got some points. It was a tough race. We struggled with a lot of different things. Just before the race, the drink system broke. So didn't have that during the race either. Struggled with some brakes, some gear shifts. So it's good to get points. You know, get the car over the line. We saw a couple of laps to the end. One of the cars retired with a mechanical. So that's good for us. I think the pace was really good towards the end. So we gotta look at the positives. But over a race, I don't think we're quick enough yet. So we've got some work to do.
Yeah, it was a good one considering what happened at the beginning. Someone tried to do us and basically just gave us punctures. So from then on, it was always an uphill battle, but the boys did a good job. We had really good pace and we got some half decent points. So first race under my belt, it's pretty crazy. There was a lot of crashing, a lot of chaos. Just trying to keep my nose clean after that initial hit with Malocus, but it was a pleasure. The car was mega, as you can see, first and third with Marcus and Scott, so that'll be us soon.
I'm really happy. Finished at P12 on my first race in IndyCar. Incredible. I am very exhausted, but I am alive. I'm really happy. Thanks to Ricardo Juncos, Brad Hollinger, and the whole team for this opportunity.
What a day. I mean, we started at 23, back in the field, went through turn 3 on the opening lap, contact on all 4 corners, and somehow able to make it back to pit lane. The guys got the car back together in time. We went down a lap at some point during the race, but got it back later in the race and saw, I think, everything that is possible in a race. Cars flying through the air, punctures, tire barriers, concrete walls. I mean, everything got used on this racetrack. I learned a lot. That last stint was pretty good. I was pretty happy to finish where we did. I mean, considering where we started the race in turn 3 there. So huge shout out to the crew. They worked their tail ends off this weekend. And yeah, that 51 Honda is doing pretty good.
Short-lived race for us here at AJ Kuwait, so especially for both cars, it was a big bummer for the team. Nothing you can do. I mean, huge coordinating effect for the car crashing in front of us and coming back to where we were starting. We had a clean start through 1 and everything was looking good. And yeah, unfortunately, just got caught up in that at the end and nothing we can do. And yeah, we look forward to the next race at TMS.
Super unfortunate end of our weekend. Super unfortunate end of our weekend here with
being involved, the two cars being involved in this crash. Unfortunately, I kind of expected a hectic start like this, but the position I was in made it difficult to avoid. And I saw they checked up, so I slowed down, stayed on the inside as hard as I could. And there was a hold there, but Stingray Rob hard turn right or good push there and took the whole away and went basically crashed. So very unfortunate for the team. We have good cars, and I wanted to start the season on a better note. But we'll regroup and go to Texas in a better way.
Yeah, unfortunately not the start to my first IndyCar. Yeah, unfortunately not the start to my first IndyCar race that I was hoping for. Yeah, coming through turn one, everything was very textbook. We were looking pretty decent, to be honest, to make progress. And then coming through three, I noticed there was like a little bit of your typical race flow traffic. But yeah, as soon as I came through three, which is a blank corner, then there was just a pile up of cars. Cars were horizontal. Slammed on the brakes to do my best possible job to not be involved, and looked for a gap, but there was just no gaps or holes to squeeze my car into. And yeah, unfortunately hit Devlin straight on at pretty high speed, and it was definitely a big hit, unfortunately. I'm totally fine, got my hands off the wheel. So yeah, devastated for the team. Feel like we didn't really get a chance today. We just, yeah, got caught out, and honestly the car felt really good in warm-up. We were doing really well with fuel mileage, so I honestly think we had definitely a very good potential today for the race. So yeah, can't wait to get back to work with the whole team and go testing at Barber soon for another rookie test. And honestly, I wish we could go tonight or tomorrow and go testing already, but we'll have to wait a little bit. But very, very enthusiastic to get back to work and yeah, go racing again.
Huge thank you to all of the drivers that we were able to get interviews for, and Josh, I know you were probably paying attention to that last one there, Benjamin Peterson. He kind of said the same thing. I think that you alluded to earlier with what you've seen with him behind the wheel, and now you kind of get an idea as to what he's seen coming out of turn three on lap one.
Yeah, I mean, he basically, like I was saying, he couldn't see. He didn't have a hole anywhere else. To the left, he was going into the wall. To the right, he was maybe gonna make it. But I don't think either way. I mean, it was just like you said, take his hands off the wheel, and he was going, and just hoping that everything turned out for the best. Yes, I want to thank all the drivers that were very cooperative in giving us interviews for this great podcast of ours.
Yep, absolutely, and we hope to be able to work with them, each and every race weekend, and give you and bring you the best interview possible. Before we get to our picks that tweeted out there on Sunday, and we'll see which one of us was able to have the highest finishing pick and pick up 1 point from St. Petersburg. We do have show some love to the two sponsors that we talked about in our last show that have come on board to offer all the listeners, I think, two great products, two great services. The first, as we'll throw these up here on screen. Always Ready 1776. If you're into patriotic apparel, headwear, and more, then I would highly advise you, not just because they're a sponsor of the show, ladies and gentlemen, but I would highly advise you to go check out what they have to offer in the likes of apparel, headwear, and more at alwaysready1776.com. And as you see up on the screen, if you do decide to or find something there that you want to purchase, make sure you use that promo code that you see up on your screen, push to pass, for 10% off of your order. Always ready, 1776.com. And then also too, Get 'em Associates, design and remodeling contractors. I may have to use these individuals here with some remodeling work that I have to do. But for all your design, build, and remodeling needs, remember it's getem.com. As you see again, promo code down there at the bottom, push to pass for $250 off any design services. So a huge thank you to both Always Ready 1776 and Get 'em Associates. Go check those out today for your patriotic apparel, headwear, and design, build, and remodeling needs. So a huge thank you again, as always, to both of those sponsors. And if you do own a business, something that you want to, get out there to the people, you can contact us here at Push to Pass. We'll message back and forth, and then maybe we can set something and be the new sponsor of the Push to Pass podcast. But getting back to St. Petersburg, we both made some bold picks, I think, on Sunday, Josh, and I ended up going. I thought that the winner of the race would be Colton Herta, which for the most part, I thought that was a pretty decent pick until Herta found himself into the tire barrier and ended up finishing 20th. Now, you went with Alex Palou, who obviously is going to be his last year at Chip Ganassi. Where he is at in 2024 still remains to be seen. And I think something else with Alex Palou, Josh, I think he has defined what a contract really is if you go back to the offseason. But with that being said, Alex Palou, not only did he ended up in a top 10 finish, but he finished in P8. So the first point of the 2023 season goes to Josh, with ended up getting Alex Palou is a higher finisher than my pick, Colton Herta. So congratulations over there to Josh, and I can see he is patting himself on the back as we speak. See right there. Now let's take a look at the points after one race. Obviously, it's going to reflect how everyone finished on Sunday. So right now, your points leader after one race is Marcus Ericsson. That is Pato Award, Scott Dixon, Alexander Rossi, Callum Ilott, Graham Rahal, Will Power, Alex Palou, the aforementioned Alex Palou, Christian Lundgaard, and David Malukas round out the top 10. Then it is Scott McLaughlin, Marcus Armstrong, Agustin Campino. That's going to be a tough one all year. I see this coming already. Connor Daly, Kyle Kirkwood, Stingray Robb, Roman Grosjean, Joseph Newgarden, Felix Rosenquist, and then my pick, Colton Herta, rounds out the top 20. Then it is Rinus VeeKay, Jack Harvey, Elio Castroneves, Santino Ferrucci, Benjamin Peterson, Simon Pagenaud, and DeFrancesca round out the top 27. So that's your look at the results and point standing. We stand after one race. Josh, you have anything to add before our next guest steps in here? And we'll take a look at something that's in your wheelhouse, the betting aspect of IndyCar. But before we get anything else you want to talk about before we put a big red bow on the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg?
Well, if St. Petersburg is any indication of how this season's going to go, strap in, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a bumpy ride. You know, we got 2 cars have gone airborne so far, just competitive racing, and it's going to be a long season, and I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, St. Petersburg, there was 27 cars on the starting grid. That's one of the biggest fields I believe that the NTT IndyCar series has ever had. So you've seen all of the excitement and drama that St. Petersburg had to offer. I can only imagine in a few weeks' time when the boys strap it up at Texas Motor Speedway for I think it's the PPG 375. I think it's what that is. They strap it up at Texas Motor Speedway on an oval. It's going to be, I think it's going to be an interesting race. I haven't seen, and I don't know if you have, any of the TV ratings yet to come out. I know it's on Sunday. Not only was it on Peacock, but it was on NBC as well. So I'm curious to see what the bump viewership would be over the last year, and then compare last year's ratings to this year's as well.
I have not seen any as of yet. I would assume that they're with them being on NBC, they got to be a little bit higher. Also, being on this is their second or third year being on Peacock, so those fans that were on the road and couldn't get a hold of their local NBC affiliate, they could watch it on Peacock. That's what I did. I watched a little bit while I was at work on Peacock, but I also recorded the race. I'm actually watching it again right now, and the right ahead of me. But I can't imagine the TV ratings were too bad. I'm actually looking them up right now.
As soon as I see those come out on Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I have not seen them yet. But as soon as I can find them on Twitter, if they are released or when they do get released, we will definitely tweet those out for everyone. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I thought going into this race, just watching some of the commercials that were running and some of the branding, that's an issue I think we had last year. And then we talked about at length at times this year was sometimes the way IndyCar, brands itself. I think that's one of the things that I think they need to work on. But I thought just the way they hyped this race up beginning of the year and putting it on a major net. Hopefully they bump an eyeball, because I think there's a lot of people that enjoy watching IndyCar. You see how many drivers have crossed over, from NASCAR to IndyCar and vice versa. And I think it'd be a trend that I think we're going to see for a long time to come. You had, your favorite driver there, Jimmy Johnson. And then you have, next year for the 500, you have Kyle Larson is going to try to run the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. So it's going to be interesting to see how many going down the line NASCAR drivers want to try to cross over and go into IndyCar. And then you remember too, they have that road course event here in Indianapolis, beginning of August, where you have the NASCAR guys out at the Brickyard a weekend that IndyCar's out there. So, we know from past experience how many IndyCar drivers are out there watching when the NASCAR boys and girls are on the track, and then vice versa. So it's going to be interesting to see how many drivers do cross over. And does it bring extra viewership? Does it bring extra eyeballs? I think that's something that's going to remain to be seen.
Yeah, I did see a few more commercials leading up to this one. I think what IndyCar needs most is the drivers are fantastic at going to the sponsor events, but a lot of times the sponsor events, unless you're on Twitter a lot, following them, you really don't know what's going on. Here in Indy, they have a lot of meet and greets with the drivers, but what I think IndyCar needs to do is they need to push that their sponsors have more TV commercials with the drivers that are being sponsored by these different companies. You see a lot of Hooters. Hooters has a big campaign with Chase Elliott that they do where they blast, hey, come watch the race, come watch Chase Elliott in the Hooters car. I don't really see a lot of different different companies that sponsor these drivers in IndyCar. I don't see them making commercials for the nation for to show out all throughout the United States to get more viewers in. That's one big thing that I think IndyCar still needs to work on, but they're getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah, definitely not. Ever say that you've branded the best you can, or something that you're always learning new ways to brand yourself, and it's going to be interesting to see, with IndyCar being on the USA Network, being on Peacock, and then being on NBC, if they if we get to see more commercials and getting the name and the brand out there, definitely something to watch. But as I talked about, we did this year, and I love the segment of the show. That's why I decided to come back, bring it back in 2023. And what I'm talking about is the betting aspect of IndyCar, which I think is in next guest of ours, who is a friend of the show. We'll be able to talk about this, but Mike is joining us. And Mike, first and foremost, glad to in 2023. What a wild, I think, is to say, race that we had on Sunday. I know we didn't have you on to preview. I had an obligation. What was some of the bets that you were looking at? I know you were scrambling around all weekend looking for odds and things about the race. What were some of the bets that you were looking at?
Well, yeah, kind of, I just heard Josh talking about, things IndyCar needs to do. And man, IndyCar, the betting market really, frankly, I don't know other way to put it besides sucked for this race. IndyCar didn't, well, this is not IndyCar's fault, but I mean, you could say it is in the fact that they're not really partnering up with any of the DraftKings or the FanDuels of the world or the Caesars of the world in sports books, which is a huge industry now. And across all, most of the states in the country, but we didn't have any odds pre-race. So that really was a bummer. There are a lot of guys looking to bet Kirkwood at 40-1, 50-1 pre-race, which would have been a great ticket to have, even though it wouldn't have cashed in the end after he went flying. But yeah, man. So it ended up, we didn't get matchups, which is the key to making money. And when it comes to betting on racing, but we had an outright market and we had a top three market. So, my card in the end was I had Herta at 4-1, which was a good spot to be in. I thought in second place. Didn't trust Grosjean. He was a full fade. Also had some money on Pato at 5-1, which we can talk about that in a second. I'm a little saucy about that. I was at the race. I was there all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was hanging out with Tony from Burnout Sports, and got to meet and talk to a lot of people, talked a lot of gambling with a lot of people about IndyCar gambling. There's a lot of people that are interested in it, and guys, just hoping IndyCar can push it some more. Probably the best bet we made all weekend was Ericsson at 3-1 for a top three. So to get him at 3-1 for a top three was awesome. I did not want him to win that race. I needed him to come in second and Pato to come in first. That would have been a big payday for me across the board. Pato was 5-1. I also had money on Scotty McLaughlin, which was looking awesome as well. That was 9-1. That was the one bet I made pre-qualifying. And he's sitting there winning the race, and then him and Grosjean put in the wall. I mean, this was the perfect race for sports gambling and sports betting for IndyCar. I got hundreds of messages from people that said, that was the most exciting sweat. It made the race so much better, whether they had money on Grosjean, whether they had money on Scotty Mac, whether they had money on Herta, whether they had money on Ericsson, or Pato. It was awesome to kind of watch. It was back and forth. It was great. I was sitting there, end of the race. I'm like, okay, I'm good to go with Scotty Mac. I got a 9-1 ticket. Ericsson's in third. I cash his 3-1. And then all of a sudden, Grosjean and Scotty put it in the wall. Then I'm like, oh, sweet. Pato's in the lead. I got him sitting at 5-1. And then I can't believe Ericsson and me, I have a bad history with Ericsson. I have been on placed bets on the guys that have finished second in every single one of his wins. And there's some guys that are putting it out on Twitter. Some of his wins have just been wild. Every race has had a red flag, and he's only led, I think, a total of 13 laps in his 4 wins. And so he's cost me a lot of money. Thank God I had that 3-1 ticket on him that eased the pain. But man, this was a perfect race to promote gambling, and it's really it's still disappointing that just IndyCar just didn't get odds out, or there wasn't a sports book that felt like it was worth it to put IndyCar odds out before the race. So that's pretty much how the race went down, man. It was a fun race to bet on, but again, kind of feel like we took a step backwards in terms of some of the things we saw happening with sports gambling and sports wagering in IndyCar as the year progressed last year.
Mike, do you think that's more IndyCar is hesitant to go and try to partner with the sports books, or do you think the sports books just have little to no interest in putting any odds out for that?
I put that on IndyCar, man. I have friends on the sports book side of things, and they want volume. They want people betting money. They're willing to even post, they caught, bad odds. I think a lot of that's on IndyCar not to actually reach out over, in the Indy 500 did it last year with Caesars. They had Caesars on site. That was awesome. A birdie kind of told me at the race, person I ran into, I got to speak with about it, said that that partnership's probably not happening again this year, which is just super disappointing, going forward. And I think IndyCar, they have to embrace it a little bit. And I frankly just think they don't care. That was a hot topic for a lot of people that we ran into. We ran into some of the guys from the F1 Money Gang who were covering it. We ran into Joey Milano. We ran into several people. I even mentioned it to Townsend Bell and Hinch, who I ran into just in the paddock. And they kind of cold shouldered me on the sports gambling talk. But and I think it's IndyCar's, burden. I think they gotta put a little money, but I think they're happy with the money that they're making, and I just don't think they have a desire to really grow into that demographic. So I think it's a mistake.
That is a very big mistake, because a lot of people like myself, unless it's my favorite team, I have no interest in watching like a sporting event. But if I have money on it, let's say next year you got the Ohio State Notre Dame game, I despise both those teams. But if I have money on one of them, it's much more interesting to watch, and I think they would get a lot more eyes on IndyCar if they were to go with a BetMGM or a Caesars, get that on one of their cars, or get MGM and Caesars on one car and the other. You could advertise both of them.
Yeah, I agree. They dipped their toes into it. Like, the problem is, they had the whole points bet with NBC. NBC's got partnerships with them. They used to talk about it on the broadcast. I didn't get to see the pre-race. I rewatched the race on recording. I don't know if they talked about it, but they had the guys, Lee Duffy, Townsend, talking about the odds and stuff before the race. The problem was, like, it was just half-assed. They didn't. Sometimes they'd quote the wrong odds. They didn't really know what they're talking about. Like, they can just do a much better job of it. And look, if you partner with the sportsbook, then guess what? The sportsbook's going to post your odds. Like, there was a full menu of like Nitro Rallycross. You could bet on darts, for Christ's sakes, like on DraftKings, and DraftKings didn't put out any IndyCar odds till Sunday morning. So that's just it was frustrating. There were a lot of people kind of yelling about it on Twitter, and man, we were sitting on our phones just refreshing after every practice session, just trying to find odds to talk about. And it sucked, but I can tell you there's a lot of interest, because people were, I got a lot of interest on Twitter, and people were like, "Hey, what's going on? What do you see? And where are these odds?" And I was just like, "Yeah, they were stunned." Like, I was like, "Yeah, this is kind of how it goes for IndyCar. It's just not, they're just not promoting it. It's just not out there. And the sports books just really don't seem to care as much." So hopefully, maybe it's just the first race. I'm going to cross my fingers that, when Texas comes and the 500 comes, we get more bets out there. But, it was just a small market. It was just top threes and then outright winners, which is tough to make money in IndyCar series, which is so competitive.
I saw you put a pre-season bet on Ericsson as the under at 1.5, and I said when I saw Ericsson win I was like, oh, that's got to make Mike so nervous now. I mean, to come out and win the very first one when you got him at under 1.5 is just.
Tell you, man, that guy's killing me. Like that race, that was another reason why I cannot believe like a Chevy engine had what is it? Well, I don't even know, a Plantum. What is it? I don't even know what it was. The hiccup. The engine engine hiccups on 3 laps to go, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
I heard the explanation. I was in the stands and Tony's sitting next to me, and he had money on Ericsson at 9-1. So he's cheering for, we're going back and forth, and we were betting on whether it be another caution. We were betting on a couple of different things. So one guy triumphed and I was crying. So yeah, that hurts, man. I'm going to look, I actually, funny enough, like I don't think he was going to win any. Like I thought I would have paid money for 0. So I still have a half a race in the bag. He's going to have to win another. Like last year, there were a lot of guys that only picked up one race the entire year. So we'll see. We'll see if that. I'm gonna have to sweat that. There might be some hedging involved if I think we get to a street course that he has a shot at. But honestly, I don't think he should have won that race. I mean, he won, but I think it was Pato's race. I think for a while it was either Scotty or Grosjean's race. Herta knocked himself out for sure. With his missed tire management. But it was a great race. It was a great first race. It was a great race to bet on. It was everything about makes the race exciting because the betting happened in that race for sure. So still made a little bit of money with I had a Pato top 5, so at least the engine didn't totally cut out, and he still came in second. And then the Ericsson, hitting somebody at 3-1 for a top 3 is a nice little it's a nice number. That was basically I bet the number because I don't like the driver, but you bet if you want to be successful, you bet numbers, not drivers, and 3-1 for that guy. He was starting 4th. You don't get that usually, so the sports books messed that up. I wish I would have bet more on that actually. But yeah, would have been nice if it would have been flip flop for me, and I still would have had 2 races in the bag. But we'll see how the under 1.5 goes. It ain't over till the fat lady sings.
Yeah, totally.
Derik freeze on us.
I think he did. So
and
are you there?
Off.
Are you there, Derik?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just tough to place. You didn't going into weekend's race with everything, new teams, new drivers, etc. And then someone like you or Tony to on.
Hey, Derik, you're very cut up. So we
get any of that, Josh?
I didn't. I'm hearing bits and pieces of it, but so do you think there's going to be more you anticipate more odds being put out for the Texas race than there was for this race? I heard you were saying that you think it was just because of the first race, but
yeah, I think that's I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I'm gonna hope that's the case. I don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to have more or not. Usually, as we get to the summer races, the other sports, the big major sports go away, and maybe the books will pay more attention. But, F1's getting more and more. I noticed the F1 markets, like you could bet on who came in last. You could bet on every place there was. There was probably 1,000 different bets you can make on F1, versus IndyCar. There was 2, just 2. And same thing with NASCAR. So I don't know, like the books could be just putting more attention on those two sports, which, man, I think it's a big mistake. And, I think IndyCar, it's on IndyCar a little bit, like I said, to reach out and put some partnerships together. But, from what everything I told, IndyCar likes they're not going to do anything unless they get paid for it kind of deal. And then, I think the sports books might even be willing to pay for partnerships. So I don't know what the holdup is. I have my hypothesis. If just some of the people who are running the show just aren't a fan of it. But a lot of people running the shows are in NASCAR, and NASCAR's got a huge betting market, and they have cars sponsored by BetMGM and other sports books. So, man, fingers crossed that Texas, we have some more. I mean, I'm sure we'll have to win odds. I'm sure we'll have top threes again. But what you really want to see is matchups, and you want to see top fives, and you want to see some over-unders on car, some prop bets here and there. They do usually always put out something for Indy. I'm sure Indy will be good. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about with Indy 500, especially since you have a good month leading up to it. But we'll see. Fingers crossed that we have more to talk about before Texas.
Yeah, I think it's no coincidence the fact that there's more betting options on NASCAR and F1 due to the fact that F1, of course, this year is going to have that inaugural race going down Las Vegas Boulevard in November, and also NASCAR races in Las Vegas every year. So really hoping that IndyCar can step in, because they're missing out on a huge market, and I don't know if they understand that or not. It's sports betting in this country has exploded to where I think Indiana broke a record during the football season of like 11.7, or no, it was $158 million bet during the playoffs. I mean, and that for Indiana, that's huge for sports betting, and I think IndyCar is just missing out on it, and it's very disappointing to me as an avid gambler. And I didn't bet on this particular race because I didn't know too much about any of the teams. I mean, I know what happened last year, but I always like to give it a race, so I'll be betting whatever I can on the Texas race.
Yeah, well, keep tuned into to my Twitter at Indy_bet, and I'll make sure I stay on top of it, because I'm looking to make some money from it, and I enjoy doing it. And I'll be watching all the races, and I'll have action, and I try to do it in a smart way. So been a profitable last couple of years. So keep your eye out, and then I always post my card for free, let everybody know what I'm betting. It's if I put it out there, then I got money on it, so I got skin in the game too. So you can see how that works out, and hopefully, it's going to be a tough year if I don't get matchups all year. That's usually where top threes and matchups, top fives is usually where you make the most money. You might only hit, I think I maybe only hit 2-3 winners last year. It's tough in IndyCar to do that unless you bet a ton of guys each race, but then it's you don't make a ton of money. So yeah, man. So we'll keep at it, and hopefully. Man, fingers crossed it starts to explode a little bit. We get more stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Derik, are you back? Well, I think we lost Derik for a little while, unless you're there.
Going on. Mike, anything else that you want to hit on? I know.
No, man. That's it. Man. Appreciate you guys talking about it, having it on. I think the more people I've got, a lot of people reached out to me to do some podcasts and do some other things. So I am excited about that. There was a couple of hundred more Twitter followers popping up asking about gambling. So that's always like a good sign to me that like there's way more people interested in it. So man, I think we all just keep talking about it and putting it out there. And then, maybe one day, you'll be sitting here talking about a betting segment sponsored by BetMGM about IndyCar, and we can all we can all wish for that. But man, I think like I said, fun first race, and I'm excited to be having back in IndyCar season for a couple months here.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. We greatly appreciate all you do, and for the betting community, and all your great knowledge. And we'll keep an eye on Twitter for all your picks for Texas here in a couple weeks.
Sweet, man. All right, guys, take care.
Have a good day.
Yeah, man.
Josh, good stuff there from Mike as always. Make sure you follow him on on social media. Obviously, as you see his social media there, scrolling at the bottom. But I do believe, looking at the itinerary, I think that does it for us for episode number 18. Anything else, Josh, that you want to add before we get to the closer and we get on out of here?
No, well, actually, I mean, this was a great race for me to watch. I'm getting more and more excited about watching this, and on your enthusiasm about the sport, like I said, has brought me more and more into watching and knowing what's going on. I'm looking forward to an exciting season and having lots of talks with you. And if RC comes on occasionally, we can get his perspective as a current driver, and it's going to be a fun time. We'll be doing some shows where we'll have actually been at the race, and hopefully we can get some interviews with some drivers up close and personal.
Yep, absolutely. We definitely have a long season ahead of us for sure, and can't wait to bring all of the content, interviews, etc. to everyone. So we'll be back, and in a few weeks' time, it'll be the PPG 375, the Texas Motor Speedway. That will be the next show. Next time you see us, we'll be previewing that. So for myself, Josh, and everyone else here at the Push to Pass podcast, we thank you for tuning in. I know I got to get my internet fixed. Hopefully I'll get a few weeks to do that. Make sure follow the show, spread it far and wide, because we do this for everyone out there in IndyCar Nation. So huge thank you to everyone, and we'll be back in a few weeks' time previewing the PPG 375 from the Texas Motor Speedway.
Let's push here, close the gap to Pato. Pato's going to have to react. Let's close the gap. Copy that. All right, push. We're going to go at least a lap or two. Let's push, everything you got.
Ericsson has twice the amount of push to pass as Pato O'Ward does.
All right, keep it up. Pato's guys are getting jumpy. You're faster than Pato. It'll be a night fight till the end.
It is tight, just half a second, and the next time by there'll be just 4 laps left.
Okay, problem.
Is something wrong with him? Ericsson to the lead.
Let's focus forward here. There's going to be 2 to go. That was just a plenum event for Pato, so he'll be at full pace. Gap to O'Ward, 1.5, white flag. Bring it home.
Marcus Ericsson in the Husky Chocolate Honda is a winner again, but this time on the streets of St. Petersburg.
Yes. Nice job, dude. Checkered flag. Hell of a drive. Way to get this thing started. Great job, team.
Let's go! Yes! Good job. Great job. Thank you.
Get down here. I want to get your pretty face on TV and victory line. Nice work, dude. Nice work.